So, Luke, what have you been doing over the last several weeks since Similitude, the Great Adventure, the final performance is over with?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest, like, it was kind of nice at first just being able to take a breather after it was over with. And, me and my wife, we just had our 1-year anniversary as well, so.
Happy anniversary.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Thank you.
Did
Yeah.
you guys do anything special?
So we actually went to St. Cloud, Florida.
Okay.
I
Very
got to meet her
nice.
grandmother for the first time, so
Oh, that's
that was really
awesome.
cool. She wasn't able to come to the wedding because of COVID and everything, so
Sure.
we went there. We went to Cocoa Beach. We went to an aquarium, and it was just weird. We just kind of became a part of the town during that time period. It's like second day I was like walking next to the lake, and somebody yells my name out from a truck. I was like, "How
Are
did
you sure they were yelling your name?
He got out of the truck.
He said Luke McIntyre.
He said Luke. Unless there was another Luke.
There probably was.
You think I'm conceited, don't you?
I don't know.
This
Have you watched the last episode?
Okay. I feel like we should cut the camera. What are you implying? I'm not really.
Just finish your story, Luke.
No, I think I'm quite done. Are we done? Can we wrap it up there? No, it's been fun. So how have you been spending your time?
The last several weeks, I have had a lot of time with our family. We've taken a few road trips, and I've had my evenings free, which has been wonderful. And I've done a lot of projects around the house, so
That's awesome.
it's been great. Very nice. So during the performance, there was one scene that was absolutely incredible, and that was the fight choreography scene.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about that? It was absolutely amazing.
I would say that's probably the thing that I miss the most, just kind of being on stage with everybody. I don't know, maybe it's just a testosterone thing. Am I allowed to say testosterone? Is that a taboo word? Keep rolling. It was great. I really had a good time just hanging out with everybody, and then just hearing the audience's reaction to, watching the sticks break and grabbing other sticks.
There were so many times to it that it seemed so incredibly real that I was on the edge of my seat, and I was watching the audience, and they were so into it. I mean, you thought for sure someone was going to get, a bone broken, or there was going to be blood everywhere or something.
Well, it was funny. One of my friends, or one of my colleagues rather, sent me an email saying, like, that fight choreography was so cool. Like, did you guys watch? He said, you watched Kill Bill to do that, and I was like, I know the reference. I've never seen Kill Bill, but it was just kind of cool that he thought that highly of it. So.
And I thought it was cool because there was so many young people in it as well as older characters in it, and so there was so much diversity.
Okay. I'm one of the oldest characters in that.
Not completely. I mean, you are bald, so,
Well,
that kind of...
we're going to go ahead and move on. My name is Luke McIntyre.
And I am Angel Woodard.
Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for more content.
Welcome to Poiema Backstage. Poiema Arts Incorporated serves as a training ground for individuals who seek to develop their craft in a cutting-edge, biblical, and Christ-centered environment where they will be mentored and equipped to excel in their specific discipline to strategically impact the arts community locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. That is Poiema. We're here to take you backstage.
So I'm really excited about today's episode. We've actually got a few of the cast members from Similitude, The Great Adventure Begins, and they're just going to be talking to us a little bit about what their experience was like during that production.
With us today is Sarah Beth Jackman. She played the character of Pliable and Chiteri. Sarah Beth, it is such a pleasure to have you with us today.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I've spent some time with you one-on-one, and I have just found that you are an amazing person. You have been in 14 shows. Mm-hmm. You have done 2 short films, and you're currently doing 1 full-length film. Mm-hmm. That is amazing for your age at 18 years old.
I was about to say, that's an impressive resume that you can take
Absolutely.
anywhere
So
in acting.
You obviously love musical theater.
Mm-hmm. I do. It's been a large part of my life. Actually, I remember when I was a kid, I hated musical theater. Never thought it would be for me, but I watched one show when I was in 5th or 6th grade.
Right.
And ever since then, haven't been able to get enough of it.
So you've jumped from hating it to doing 2 characters in one show. That's a pretty big jump.
Yeah. I guess that's just kind of how things turn around, I suppose.
So what was it like for you, and how was Similitude a different production than other productions you'd been a part of?
I think Similitude has been really unique for several reasons. One, just because I love being in this community with other believers. Sure. I've been in a lot of shows where, I might have had 1 or 2 believers in the cast, but overall it's been, a secular company. Mm-hmm. But with Similitude, this is the main goal of the production is to minister to people and to really just glorify God, which has been incredible to witness and also be a part of, just the aftermath of it.
Absolutely.
Well, definitely one thing that I know Luke and I, we've talked a lot about in the last or the previous episodes is working as a family. Poiema, that is one of the real goals and desires and heartbeats of Poiema, is to have that family base. And we want all of the cast members to feel that as they're a part of this production, previous productions, other productions moving forward. So
definitely, I feel like that's a big part of Poiema is this family that you have, because everyone's connected, everyone is having fun, but also it's amazing because you have so many people you feel like you can turn to if things aren't going correctly. It's more than just a place to go and just see people for 2 hours a week. You really feel like you have this connection with them, which has been incredible to have.
Now, I have to ask you, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who they want to, they hear that answer and they're like, well, how exactly do you honor God in playing a role, right? Like, so how do you act in a way that, like, so how would you say, like, looking at the two characters, Pliable and Shatiri, how would you say that that's something that glorifies God?
I think, one, it's in how you perform, like giving the glory to God.
Sure.
Right.
But it's also, especially within a show like Similitude, it is the way that those roles impact the audience. Because I know Pliable, she's very pliable. She's the first to turn away from God, or not turn away, but she goes on the journey for a while and then turns back.
Right.
She leaves as soon as things get hard. And I know, as a believer, a lot of people have had this experience, or at least felt discouraged.
They get tested in their faith.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. And so I think she's a very relatable character for people and really can teach them a lesson of, even though things get hard, you shouldn't turn back, and here's why, as you witness the rest of the musical. Shatiri's the very opposite. She is this seasoned Christian. She leads Thomas on his journey going forward. And so I think both characters provide these amazing lessons for the audience. And so I think that's also another way of glorifying God, is really providing that lesson for them.
It's really ironic because when I just look at, your performance, first of all, I was blown away by your performance. Like, when we first started off, you were in the role of Shatiri, and that one didn't get practiced as much because there were some other bigger ones, right? Yeah. But then you got asked to play the role of Pliable, and then it was like a complete 180, especially when you went through the slide when you were like, I'm panicking. And I was like, okay, it's just a production, it's Luke. So it's just really cool to see, like, just how expansive your ability to act in those moments was. But not only that, the irony that in one scene, you're a character that discourages Thomas to the point that he wants to leave the journey. And then the next one, you're really pushing him and encouraging him to continue. So it's really cool to see that dichotomy of the characters you play.
And you also see how every character influences Thomas, who is the main character, which obviously amazing job to you.
Yeah, you guys actually worked together. You're on the stage together.
Yeah.
I just remember in that one scene, like when I had come to the wicket gate, you asked me why I came alone, and it's like I'm ad-libbing, and I look up at you, and you're like really just like looking like you really wanted a direct answer. And it's like, wow, like I really feel like I'm answering a superior in this moment. Like I'm giving an account for where I've been. And it's like, that really struck me, like how into the character you were in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be to really get that point across of, this character is supposed to be this kind of accountable figure for Thomas and really give him perspective. And I think that it's a very great character to show the audience. And so being direct in that moment was the great way, I think, because she's asking you, like, why did you come alone? But also to the audience, she's asking them, why aren't they ministering, basically, or why aren't they bringing others on their journey?
That's good.
So I'm obviously acting with you, but since the audience sees this show from your perspective, I'm also acting with them, I suppose. I'm also saying those things to them. So I think that's, going back to the first question, is a great way to minister to people through the show.
That's awesome.
What was it like the last 2 weeks right before the performance? That's the crunch time. And how was that for you personally?
It was wonderful. I mean, I really enjoy like show week, tech week type of things. I feel like we all get so wrapped up in the show because, when we're rehearsing 1-2 times a week, we obviously pay attention when we're here, but we have so many things outside that are taking up so much of our time.
Sure.
And of course you still have those things, but once you're there every single day a week, almost, you really get to this point where you're not really getting out of character as much. So you can really, really get in touch with the inner character of who you're playing.
Absolutely.
And also just you start to open up these ideas that you might not have had before. And I think that's why it gets so incredible after Tech Week, is because you really build and build and build instead of, building and then leaving it for a week and then building and then leaving for a week. So
speaking of which, and to be completely fair, this was a very different production in and of itself, because when we started at the beginning of 2020, it was going to be a different show. We were working on one, and just with the way things went, we actually ended up calling it Audible, and that's when this show kind of became underway. So that's really a process that was between 12 to 14 months.
14 months,
Yeah.
Right? And so, I have to ask, where was God for you along the way of staying consistent for 14 months?
Yeah, I think when you're working with a show for that long, you really connect with the script and with the messages inside of it. So I know throughout the show, I was learning things about myself,
Right.
And taking messages from the show that were meant for the audience. But I think as actors, we also definitely learned them as well.
Definitely agree.
So that definitely helped me connect with the script, working it for so long. It really gave me kind of like a stable point, if that makes any sense.
Wow.
Because I know with COVID and everything, I'm sure a lot of other people were feeling uncertain, and life was changing. The format of my schooling was changing, and I had just gotten a new job, so it was just very, very unstable. But then when we came back to rehearsals, I had this pinpoint, I suppose, that was the same as before.
Yeah.
Which was it provided a lot of clarity for me, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
Because it kind of gave me that focus that, even though everything else is changing, not everything has to be different.
I think it was definitely a year that God allowed each of us to have patience.
Yes,
And for me personally, to actually come to the end and have a date was like one of the best days
It's
ever.
like just a fresh one.
It was
It's like,
closure to
okay.
something that's good, but we want to be able to see the end of it and really see it being put together and produced.
Right.
And it also almost felt unreal at the end, after so long to have it
Right.
end. I mean, it was unreal, but also in a good way,
Right.
It was a little bittersweet.
I was going to say, it's
you're ready
such
to
a
move
bittersweet
on,
moment.
but
Yeah. It's just like, man, all of these practices, and I can't get this part right, and then the performance is over, and just like,
exactly.
so that's it.
What do we do now?
And
Right.
it goes by like that,
Right.
With the aftermath of this production, what do you feel like that really stuck with the audience once they saw the performance?
Yeah, I think that's one thing I really love about this show, is that there are so many different messages and so many different things you can take from the show.
Sure.
Like I know I had one friend that came up to me afterwards and talked about how much she loved Vanity Fair and how she kind of saw that in her own life.
That was fun. That was a
yes,
fun,
amazing number. It was so much
I
fun.
was actually somewhat offended that I was not in that show at all, or in that number. No, it's like, I've got bummy clothes, everybody's all bright and dancing.
You could have taken the spotlight. But no, she loved that because it just related to, I guess, how she was feeling in her personal life at the moment. And then I had another friend who actually really related to Agnoya's character arc.
Wow.
And how he came to Christ. He really saw himself in that and really seemed to kind of relate to that. And so I think Agnoya was a big part of how he viewed the show, if that makes any sense. So I think every single person has this different lesson they can take depending on who they feel like they're most like at the moment, or what
That's true.
they're relating to. And it's also the songs are so amazing. Like they're very catchy, but they also have an incredible meaning.
They are so catchy that I was waking up in the middle of the night and I would hear these songs rolling in my head, and it almost felt like it was a nightmare after a while.
It did.
Because they would never leave.
Every day I come back from work, it's been a long day.
That one was constantly stuck in my head. And then I remember for like 2 days after the show ended, it was Heaven in My Heart. It was stuck
Really?
in my head for 2 days. I could not get it out. It was It was fun at first, singing it, but then afterwards it gets a little bit annoying.
Lines from the script keep replaying, yeah.
But also, I do love the songs. They called me out a couple times. I remember there was a time where The Ways of the Fool kept getting stuck in my head. But I also, while I was singing it in my head, I started to realize the parts of my life where I was relying on my own understanding and not giving things to God. And so through having these songs stuck in my head, I started to discover things about myself. So I think because these songs are so catchy and have these incredible meanings, they can really, help relay the message even more.
Well, Sarah Beth, it has been such an honor to have you with us as our guest today.
It's been an honor to be here.
We definitely look forward to seeing you in the next production as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And our next guest today is Wesley Jones. He played the part in Similitude of Prince Beelzebub.
I'm really looking forward to this interview just because when Beelzebub came into the actual script, I think he was the comic relief that the show was waiting for.
Absolutely.
So I'm definitely really interested to see what his take on everything was. So let's go ahead and bring him in. Without further ado, Wesley Jones.
And I'm here.
Oh, that was awkward.
As Beelzebub, I was wondering when you guys were going to have me on this show.
Well, we wanted to save the... I don't think we can say that. She might come... I was going to say we're going to save the best for last, but
You
I don't
can
think...
say it.
Okay. I don't know if we can actually get him out of character. Can we talk to Wesley, please? What's up, man?
Prince Beelzebub was great, but, we want to speak with Wesley right now, if that's okay.
I'm back.
Okay.
So this isn't your first performance that you've actually done. So how long have you actually been in production? Since you were like, would you say 12?
Yeah, 12 or 13.
Okay.
I was in a small production. I played Joshua in a small production that one of the pastors at my church put on.
Awesome.
Not only that, you also lead worship at your church as well, right? So singing on stage was not something new for you.
Right, that came naturally. I grew up with my mom and all of my aunts. I have 6 aunts. We grew up singing.
So your family's very musical.
Well, we sing.
Yeah.
Not all of us can play an instrument. So we sing.
I don't know how to take it. So thank you for clarifying that. So that's cool. So coming into Similitude, I'm sure was different in some degree. So what was it like stepping into Similitude for you?
Well, it was different on many levels. I think the biggest difference was how big the production was.
Right.
I have never been in anything as professional as Poiema. And I was very nervous because the last production I was in, I was 17. And so they were like, you got to come and audition. And I was like, I don't even know what to do. What is an audition? And so it was just how professional Poiema is. It really made a huge difference.
Well, like I was saying before, man, when you came in, your performance just changed the entire atmosphere, because that's a word. It changed the entire atmosphere. You were the comic relief that just made everybody laugh. I mean, Vanity Fair, which I should have been in some regard. Vanity Fair was such a... For those who are listening to the podcast, you made a face. Could you
I didn't make a face.
Explain what that was? Okay. And now the eyebrows. Anyway, so Vanity Fair was just really the comic relief that people were looking for. So what was it like for you stepping into that role, like such a big, comical but serious character?
Well, I'm usually cast as the comic relief, and most of the things I've done, I've been the comic relief. And so stepping into this role, in the beginning I tried so hard to be super silly because I didn't have any reference for who
you were supposed to be.
Right, for who I was supposed to be. And so once I kind of grasped that Prince Beelzebub wasn't funny because he's silly, he was funny because he's mean and just
and stupid.
And yeah, he's an idiot. So it's kind of
especially with Apollyon, there's an insecurity there.
Definitely.
That nobody in Vanity Fair is supposed to see.
Right. Right. But Like no one is supposed to see it, but it's clearly there. And I also believe that working with Sandra as Apollyon made that so much easier because
And Sandra is your aunt.
She is my aunt, and so
Yes.
like a lot of that back and forth was like
that
real
chemistry
life.
of right.
I really like. I love the part when you're sitting on your throne and she comes out like, "Boy, you better get up." And you're like, "It's my throne. You better get."
Right.
It was like I was actually watching from the wings, and it was so. Actually, I need to pause here because there was one scene when Thomas was in the cage. And somebody wrote in the script, I'm going to say it was Michael Green
And you're
because I don't think I
Thomas.
wrote it. I was Thomas, and I had to call you an evil ghoul.
Right.
And then your character fell on the floor laughing, and I have to keep a straight face. That was not fair to me. That was harder than the fight choreography.
I believe that was my favorite scene to act in. Like the fight choreography was my favorite scene to watch, but that was my favorite scene just because I knew I was like pushing you a little bit, and so like every time I got up, I'm gonna see how far I can push him this time.
I know, it was like I had grasped it like, okay, I'm not laughing this time, and then you would go even further. You did that on purpose, didn't you?
I did.
Okay,
I did.
We'll talk later.
So it's part of it. So, but I really enjoyed it. I really did.
I wonder at times watching the audience what they really like the children if they were afraid of you.
Right. There are two stories. There's one that someone came to me and was like, yeah, I had to step out during, like right at the end of Vanity Fair. And so when he came back and asked his son, like, what did I miss? And he was like, you missed Mr. Wesley getting down. Mr. Wesley is my favorite bad guy. And I was like, yes. But then there was another story where the younger brother leaned over to the older brother and was like, Mr. Wesley looks scary. Are you scared of him? I'm not either. I'm not scared. I'm like, man, don't be scared,
So they're
please.
trying to convince themselves that they're not scared, but
Right.
they really are.
When you look at entertainment, why do you think trying to get a God message across through entertainment is so vital as compared to, we literally could have just found another, like it could have been a sermon, it could have been another way that this message could have, been gotten across. Why do you think it's so important in entertainment and on the stage?
I think because entertainment you don't have to work for. Like when you're watching television or anything, you don't have to work for it. You don't have to like. It's like the information is spoon fed to you. I think about I was a teen director at the Y. And so a lot of them would come to me and talk about TikTok and how, I was on TikTok swiping and then I looked at my clock and it was 4 a.m. And I was like, how do you go to bed? And it's just easy to go from one thing to another. And so I think entertainment is just so it's like all the information is spoon fed to you.
Right.
And if the main message isn't what I get from the content, there's something in there that I'm gathering.
And I think
from it.
everyone's takeaway is completely different. Everyone is going to connect to one of the cast differently,
Yep.
depending on what season of life that they're in,
Right.
what age they are.
A different song even
Right.
that might resonate. Yeah.
One of I invited somebody from work to come, and he was like, Thomas got on my nerves, like not listening. Like he doesn't listen. So now I get what you meant when you were like my boss and I wasn't listening to you. I was like, yeah, like that's what he got from it. Like Thomas just wouldn't listen. And that's something that I didn't see at, almost at all. Like I was looking at a whole other part of the story, but that's what stood out to him.
That's really interesting because, we never got to watch the performance, right? And so I guess seeing the progression of Thomas's character is something that I might experience, but not something I experience the way that they do.
Right.
So that's really interesting to hear. Now, I would also say you had a very different experience as well because, with the group of people that you're working with, you've got family, you've got friends, you've got church family, you've got new people, you've got
New
former
participants.
students that you've worked with. So what is it like having all of those groups come together to create something like this?
It's working with family. I'll start with family, and I'll be quick. But working with family was great. I loved working with the sloths. They were all
of your aunts?
My aunts. My mom was one of the sloths, and then, like we said before, Apollyon was one of my aunts, and she is. She is one of my aunts, but it changed like the dynamic of our relationships a little bit because they were like, Wesley, you've done theater before. Help us. And so in a way, I became like the leader of the little Jones pack.
The little tribe.
Right, of the little Jones tribe. And so, making sure they had the most up-to-date script, which I messed up on that one but making sure they knew when they were supposed to be there, if they were supposed to be there. Even like backstage, a lot of times they're like, hurry up, you got to get on stage, like go. And so that was all a part of it. It was really fun.
Yeah.
And then working with my past students, they were like in my cabin, they were my campers. It was incredible because like the guy that played Agnoia, he was in my cabin when he was like in second grade, and I hadn't seen him since then. So reconnecting with him that way, and then like watching him, and I'm like, you're a little bit more mature, but you are the same. You're the same. Your personality is the same. And then the guy that played Murad was also in my cabin when he was like in middle school. So it was just fun reconnecting with them.
I have to say, one other interesting thing that I noticed was seeing you backstage. Like, you were just like, all right, we don't have time to play. You need to be here. Where's this prop? Like, just a whole nother side of you came to life. And that was interesting to see because that wasn't something that someone was prompting. It just kind of happened. And I think, you've been a director before, just like, you said you worked at the Y before, so you're used to kind of like being on top of things. So that was really cool to see.
And I think that was one of the things that made being Prince Beelzebub a little easier because I'm naturally bossy, and so I was like, all right, hang your stuff up, come on.
So I think you liked this performance. I think you liked your character.
I did.
Maybe just a little bit
I
too
was
much.
about to say a little too much. I really enjoyed it.
You were the evil guy. You were the bad guy.
So was it Prince B on stage or was it Wesley?
It was Prince B.
I see.
But yeah, I feel like I enjoyed it a little bit too much, just being the bossy person. But it was also fun being the person that was like bossy and in charge, but no one listened to.
And you would get so frustrated.
Right.
You would be that's what was so funny was that you were so frustrated by it, and then you would become embarrassed.
Right. And so it was
you're
just
embarrassing in front of my mother.
Exactly. It's
that
all like all the insecurities that Prince Bia had all like bubbled out because no one listened to him. No one liked him. So he wasn't as scary as Apollyon, so they could get away with a little more.
Right.
But I think I enjoyed it too much.
So I guess another question that
I can't take any more questions. I have a very busy schedule, a lot of people just waiting for my autograph. So I will see you guys the next time I'm on the show.
we had another
next week. Okay.
We had. Yeah. Yep. So we'll catch you around some other time then.
Yep, some other time.
Yeah.
I'll have my people reach out to your people.
And could I get your autograph too?
Do we?
Yes.
Okay.
Angel,
maybe later.
Do we have people? What? Are we still rolling? So before we end this episode, I did want to take some time to read a letter that one of the viewers actually sent to my wife.
Okay.
She actually came to see the performance. I believe it was on Friday night, maybe Saturday night. Okay. And Kendra was like, "Oh, she really wrote something beautiful." I was like, "Okay, that's really cool." And she let me read it, and I was like, "Wow, like this is." I think a lot of people would benefit to hear this. So just want to read this here. I came to Similitude with no expectations, simply coming to support a dear friend, one of the dancers, Kendra McIntyre. I enjoyed watching her in Poiema's previous presentation, but the improvement from last performance to Similitude was amazing, all caps, like a completely different company. As I watched, it became more than just great acting. The Holy Spirit began to stir in me, and I began praying fervently for my husband who came with me that his eyes would be open and heart softened. But I heard the Holy Spirit's gentle voice say, "Look at your own heart instead."
Wow.
My desire is to serve God, but with the husband who will not walk that path with me, I have only been willing to walk so far without him. Even though it tore Thomas Bunyan's heart apart, he chased after the king, not to desert his family, but to save them. I have allowed spiritual laziness to come over me because I have allowed the excuse of loneliness and depression into my walk. Those slothful women cut right to my core. Oh, Father, forgive me. I will walk on the path you set before me at home, in my church, and in my work, even if I'm walking alone. When Thomas asked how faithful got to the celestial city ahead of him, Eva's answer struck another chord in me. While you were sidetracked, he stayed on the right path. I have been sidetracked. No more. and no more compromise. John Bunyan chose prison because he chose Jesus. We do not know what is coming in this world and this country, but no suffering I face in prison or out will come close to the suffering Jesus faced for me. And no suffering will be greater than the reward and glory of heaven, that celestial city, and being with the King. By that end scene, the tears were streaming down my cheeks. To see Thomas come to the end of his journey and encourage his son to finish his journey strong, and the joy on his face to finally be arriving at the gates of the King, mixed with the look of struggle and love for his son. It was like I was looking into my own mother's eyes, remembering the incredible look of love as she stared into my eyes just before stepping through those gates. Her words to me, hold on to Jesus. Life is going to get harder. May my life as a mom emulate my own mom's as she was Similitude's faithful. I've been Thomas. It's time to be faithful. Even now that my children are grown, may my life point them to the King and away from the distractions of this world, to be strong, to live for him, stand for him, no matter what. And when my day comes to cross that river to the King's gates, may my passing drive them toward him, realizing that I chose the walk not just for me, but for them too. Hold on. Thank you, Mama. Thank you, Poiema. Thank you, Jesus, my King.
Wow, that is beautiful.
It really is.
That's really beautiful.
It really just took me back because, you know, it's in a moment like that you realize that you're just a vessel. Mm-hmm. And what God is doing, you can never know the depth of what God is doing in another
I think
person.
there's just, like, listening to that, there's so much transparency in her heart. And it's, you know, it's obvious that it was before the Lord, but she opened that up and to allow others to be able to smell the fragrance of her heart.
Absolutely.
In her weakness, but then also finding strength in her weakness. And, you know, it's really beautiful for her to, you know, she was there just for enjoyment, just to get a good laugh. And then all of a sudden, you know, she's praying for her husband, but then the Lord begins to speak to her about her.
Right.
So he's zoning in on her heart. And, you know, through that, she's able to really begin to hear God and find healing.
Right.
And so that's really beautiful.
And I think, you know, one thing that we probably can't stress enough is this is what Poiema is about. It's reaching individuals and to pull at the heartstrings in a way and it's not our doing, it's allowing the Holy Spirit to work through us to reach an audience that is hungry for him.
Right. And I think, you know, you just never know who's really going to be in the audience. You never know who you're going to touch. And you really just have to trust the Lord in that.
Absolutely.
But that's a very beautiful story. Brought tears to my eyes through it. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. It definitely blessed me as well. You know, I think it's really cool and interesting just following the storyline of Thomas and the sacrifices that he made for his family and the changes that he's undergone. And it's just really interesting since I've been in Poiema, just the changes that I've been through, you know. Can I tell you something?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just between the two of us.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Our downtime has been very different. You know, when we're in production mode, my wife called me at work 3 days before the production and told me that she took a pregnancy test.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So she's actually 12 weeks pregnant right now.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
But this is just between you and us,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah, okay.
So,
that is so awesome.
yeah. Can we take a break here for a second?
Sure.
Hey, guys. Kendra's pregnant, by the way. So we're excited about the future. And
we're going to have little Jack Jr. or little Ellie Mae here. Maybe.
I don't know who they are, but my son or daughter will also be a part of this. And we'll keep Jack Jr. and Ellie Mae at a distance, whoever they are. So
I am so excited for you and Kendra. That is so awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I appreciate that. And thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, make sure you hit the subscribe button for more content.
And before you sign out, check this out.
Poiema Artistry has been given the opportunity to take the stage musical Similitude, The Great Adventure Begins, to a whole new level. We are making a movie. We will be filming this timely and powerful musical this spring and making it available for wide distribution, TV, DVD, video podcasts, and more. Poiema Artistry is contracting with a professional video production company to produce a highly professional and exceptional quality movie. Filming will take place at various indoor and outdoor venues throughout the Triangle area. Utilizing dynamic filming methods, authentic costuming, realistic and convincing acting, and stirring music, we will also be able to spread the truths of the Kingdom of God nationwide through what we call Project Similitude. In order to bring about this God mandate, we would like to give you the opportunity to join us in making this a reality. We will be raising between $25,000 to $35,000 for Project Similitude. If you would like to receive more information about Project Similitude, you can go directly to our website at www.poiemaac.com and select the Poiema Artistry tab for further information on how you can give to the necessary project. Or go directly to www.givesendgo. Together we can make a difference in the lives of thousands of people that Jesus gave his life to save.
Now, Wesley, I have to ask you while we're just waiting. I want you to consider this carefully, just because of the. So, is it like, would you say Chick-fil-A, Bojangles, Popeyes, Churches, Zaxby's? How would you rank those?
Well, it's ranked differently by subcategory.
Wow.
Because, crunchiness is important to me.
Okay.
So,
Crispiness.
yeah, the crispiness.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Popeyes.
My boys
But-
don't like Popeyes.
What?
Sorry.
Blasphemous.
Now, speaking of blasphemous, I want to go back to God's Chicken, who you haven't mentioned, Chick-fil-A.
No, I was on my way there. That just caught me off guard.
Okay, all right.
I feel like Chick-fil-A's chicken just tastes the best.
Okay, I would agree with that. Which one tastes the worst?
Churches.
Why?
Well, no. You know what chicken tastes the worst is KFC's chicken.
Okay, I would agree. See, they didn't even make the category. Did you notice that?
They didn't. And I'm just like,
Cheez-Its or Goldfish?
Cheez-Its. Bolder flavor.
Pears or peaches?
Peaches.
Okay, that's the correct answer. Pepsi or Coke?
Neither. Dr. Pepper.
Soda or pop?
Soda.
Soda or pop?
Pop growing up, soda as an adult.
Okay. I know this probably doesn't, do you put your cereal in the bowl first and then pour the milk? Or do you pour the milk first and
deep.
then?
Cereal first.
Okay. Is there anyone among you who puts in milk first and then pours cereal?
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one.
Okay.
Do you drink the milk after you've eaten the cereal?
I pour more cereal in and just keep.
Wow.
I don't like naked milk.
So as a mom, I have to go through and clean up the bowls with all the leftover milk in it that my boys leave.
You just
I'm like, they
keep-
wasted so much milk.
Yeah, you
And
keep
it's
eating until the
sweet.
milk is gone.
It's really sweet milk.
I shouldn't even have to ask this, but just for someone that was a friend of mine, frosted Pop-Tarts or non-frosted Pop-Tarts?
Frosted.
Okay. Is it even a Pop-Tart if it's not frosted?
It's not. It's just a pastry.
Okay, we're good.
Leave that at home. Leave that
And
at
you know
your
there's instructions on how to put it in the microwave?
No, I didn't. In the microwave.
For a Pop-Tart?
I think so. There used to be.
Who knew? Well, I guess Angel.
I guess. But that's like when Uno came out and said that you can't put a draw four on top of a draw four.
Uno, you're wrong. Uno, you're incorrect.